Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is you are joining us. This is the Tulsa World Scene podcast, and I'm here with my colleague, the lovely and talented Jimmy Trammell, talking about some of the things that are happening in the world of entertainment here in Tulsa. The biggest thing of which recently was the announcement a day or two ago of the, I guess we'll just call it long-awaited OKPOP Museum. Um, Laying off the majority of its staff. Um, I don't know if Jim and Jimmy, you've covered this a whole lot more than I have. Um, were they talking about being close to opening or what? Because I know this has been something that has been in the works for years and years.
Well, for people who don't know, the Oklahoma Museum of Popular Culture, uh, OKPOP, uh, the shell is built. I mean, the building exists across from Kane's Ballroom. It's there. You can see it. It's visible. What's not finished for people who drive by and wonder is the interior. I mean, of course, the walls are up and the rooms are built, but the exhibits are not fleshed out. There's not a museum. It's just a shell of a museum at this point. And money is needed to finish that, to flush out the museum. And the state has basically said, hey, we're going to set aside 18 million you can use if if you can raise 18 million on your own. Now, I'm not sure this happens with other museum in the state, other museums proposed. I'm guessing not. I don't know why this one seems to be a that lacks support from
Yeah.
our state, but I don't get it because to me there would be nothing but a positive of OKPOP opening in downtown Tulsa, and and the layoffs were not symbolic that or a sign of this is a dead issue now. I mean, in a statement from OHS, Oklahoma Historical Society, uh, it made clear that fundraising is ongoing, and they still hope to open the museum someday. But in the meanwhile, they had to have a reduction in workforce. The number let go was 11 of the 15. And for people who are wondering, gee, if it's not open, why do you have a staff? Well, somebody's got to be out there acquiring collections to have in this museum when it opens. And I'm sure there's 100 other duties we don't know about if you're
Right.
if you're in there. It's easy to say, gee, what are they doing if you're not part of the team? But I know it was a really dedicated team. They love what they were doing. They love the vision for this. Uh, I, James, I know that, I mean, losing a job is difficult, and that's been some of their sentiments on social media. But I've also been pleasantly shocked on social media that some are almost Nathan Hell about this. Like I regret I've got one life to lose for my kid, and that they say, yes, this bad thing happened, but we still feel very strongly. This our people laid off, but we still very feel very strongly about the vision of OKPOP and what we want it to be.
Okay. Well, you mentioned wanting to know if other museums have had this kind of problem. It's been a while, so I don't recall the details, but I remember that there was a great deal of back and forth and difficulty trying to get the First Americans Museum in
Mm.
Oklahoma City. That had been something that had been in the works for, oh dear, back into the early 90s, if memory serves me right. And it finally didn't open until about, 4 years ago. Um, and that, at one point there was a competition between uh, Tulsa and Oklahoma City to create uh, a Native American themed museum, and so but the mechanics of the funding of that. But I know there was state money involved, and there was a lot of boondoggle over that. One thing I wonder about is, um, I wonder if this would have wouldn't have the problem that it would have if it was going to be built in Oklahoma City.
That's my question exactly. Because it seems like sometimes this is not fact, this is just my opinion. It feels like some lawmakers in our state feel like Tulsa's in Arkansas. They really do. They feel like
Yeah.
we're in another state. And gee, why would you put anything in Tulsa when you could have it in Oklahoma City? Jimmy Oldacre, rest in peace, the great drummer from Tulsa, said he fought this a lot when OKPOP first came up. People would tell him, lawmakers would tell him, well, this should be in Oklahoma City. And he said, no, 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 you don't understand. The Tulsa sound and all these musicians and everything else, that's
Right.
Tulsa. It needs to be in Tulsa. And unfortunately, some of our lawmakers are of the opinion of, I don't know, we can give you a museum, but hey, we'll give you another turnpike. Here you go. I mean,
Yeah.
in Tulsa, we had a turnpike going every direction, basically, right? So they're glad to give us those.
Well, yeah, that's been on my mind a lot of ever since this came up. If this was in Oklahoma City, but you're right. I mean, so much of so much of what people today know about Oklahoma and its contributions to pop culture world, a whole lot of them come out of Tulsa. I mean, two words, the outsiders. That is, an Oklahoma story, but it's very much a Tulsa story. Um, uh, you know, Kelly O'Hara was born in Tulsa. She's a 8-time Tony Award nominee. Um, but there's the whole Tulsa sound, people like Dwight Twilley, Leon Russell, the Church Studio, all the people that came through Tulsa because of Leon Russell being here in the 70s and 80s. Um, it's this if Tulsa's not, kind of the cultural epicenter of the state, it's definitely the cultural crossroads of the state.
Yeah,
And since that everything came through here.
and what I don't want to do is turn this into an Oklahoma City versus Tulsa thing. I think that's idiotic for people to say, to pit the cities against each other, because we're all in the same state and all should be working together. And when you argue about, gee, Oklahoma City is better than Tulsa or vice versa, all you do is just drag the other one down by saying negatives. So
Exactly.
I don't want to go there, but we should all be in this together.
Exactly. I mean, and I wasn't trying to
No, I didn't think that
denigrate
either.
Oklahoma City because I mean, there's it's had its own renaissance the way that Tulsa has, and it's got a whole lot of interesting and exciting things going on as well. So it shouldn't be like that. Well, speaking of making it an Oklahoma thing, what you've done a number of stories and you've been able to get into to see or understand what some of the collections that they have been accumulating. What are audiences missing by not being able to get into OK-Pop and to see what there is? What are some of the things that that OK-Pop has that would be, something that would be a big draw?
Well, a lot of these great Oklahoma creatives, some have passed on, and their uh, children or their estates have granted these collections or donations to OKPOP for display, which is great. I mean, you don't want them in a closet somewhere, wherever that person lives. You want them for everyone to see. I mean, you want James Garner stuff or Tony Randall's items, or, we can list hundreds of people, thousands of people, but now that, I mean, right now, OHS is not really taking questions about OK-Pop, but one of the things that probably should be addressed in the future, or they're probably doing this now, is if you're one of those families and you've donated this stuff to a museum that just laid people off, now those people are wondering, gee, what's become of thy stuff I just given you? And
Right.
and they have places to store those items, but essentially, I would, if I was with OK-Pop, one of the remaining people, I would be, or OHS, I would be calling those families saying, hey, your stuff is still in good hands.
Okay. All right. Well, Did they have they said anything about they said that fundraising is ongoing. Oh, we have a visitor today.
As is your cat. Yes, your cat's on board. Uh,
Felix is there to get to make sure that everything is okay. Thank you very much, Felix. Okay.
yeah, they
Anyway.
18 million. So three Steve Austins is what that adds up to. 18 million. If only
Okay.
Lee Majors was an Oklahoman. There you go.
There you go. See, it all ties together. It all ties together. All roads lead to Tulsa. Okay. Does 18 million seem like an insurmountable amount for this museum to raise? I don't know how much they've had to raise so far, and whom they have been tapping to get it. So
Yeah, that's why they created a foundation, a bit ago. I forget if it's been a year or so ago. And with the foundation, their goal is strictly to come up with this money. And I don't know how far along they are with it, but I do
yeah.
know that they had some really, really, really good people on that team who are no longer there. And I hope for the best for them. And could they return someday? I have no idea.
Okay. Have you have you been inside the building?
I have been inside. It's pretty impressive, and I've peeked at some of the collections. I just would like to see what it could be, when it's fully decked out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will need to keep an eye on that and keep after them to come up with more answers about things to do with this because I'd hate to see this become um another one of those great projects that you know never sees the light of day. So, but I don't I think there's too much at stake for that to happen. This isn't going to be like the gigantic statue out in Osage County that they were going to build,
Mm.
um, and other things like that. So, all right, well, that'll be it for the Tulsa World Scene podcast for this time. I want to thank Jimmy Trammell for offering his insights on OK Pop, and we will gladly see you later.
Behave.